Is it that time? Is it Thankful Thursday? You know it is. That's why we're listening. That's why we're watching. And that's why we are living beyond default. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining today. It's already February 22nd, and it just seemed like it was the first of the year, 2024. How wild is that, huh? We had a lot going on this month, and we'll let a few more people get in here. I just wanted to say February is always a wonderful month. It's that time, especially in the Chicagoland area, where we're starting to get a little bit more springy. And we've been working on our habits and keeping those good habits implemented and doing our best to get rid of the habits that aren't serving us. There was Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is always fun, right? I know it could be a little bit of a Hallmark holiday, but it's the best that we make of it. And that's all we could ask for. So thank you for joining us. And we've got a lot to cover today. So we're going to jump right in. Of course, I'm jamming on my bulletproof coffee as always, mixed with some cocoa and blue in Arlington Heights. Gotta love cocoa. Yeah. And I've got my Spindrift with me because Spindrift is tasty and it's refreshing and it goes really well with coffee. All right. So let's get started here with our beginning quote. And today's quote, Thursday, February 22nd of 2024, is by George Carlin. And he says, everybody smiles in the same language. And on that note, welcome to this episode of Live Beyond Default Livestream. It's your weekly dose of personal growth. My name is Dave. I am your host. It's episode number 62. And thank you for watching, listening. Of course, you know that we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you're watching the replay. And live, we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Oh, and now Instagram. The gram has got us going live, which is pretty cool too. So we are on episode number 62. You're going to love today's show. Clearly, the people who listen to this show are growth-minded, self-reflective, and we are always doing our best to learn and provide value to others. We want to leave the vibe better than we found it, and that's what we're going to do today. So take out your notes, either type in your Apple Notes or your Microsoft Book Notes, or jot down some things on a piece of paper because we're going to talk about a lot today. And these are things that you can implement right away. In fact, I'm going to be practicing them because tonight I'm going to be in an event called Savor, which is a big food and drink extravaganza in Schaumburg, Illinois, at the Schaumburg Corporate Center. So whoever's going else to Savor, throw that in the chat. I look forward to seeing you this evening. Okay, so I always ask the question, if your week has not been epic so far, why not? And if it hasn't, it's time to take responsibility. It's time to take responsibility for our thoughts and our words and our actions. Because no matter how we feel, we know what the right thing is to do. And we're not going to blame anybody for our situation. We're not going to blame the stock market or interest rates or this election season or what's going on around the world. We're going to stay focused on what we can control and what's inside with us. And boy, I had a lot of that in the real estate world these last couple of weeks, where real estate has just been booming, and I'm super grateful. And there's a lot, like in your business, that I can't control, but I just focus on those daily habits, especially when I'm guiding my listing, my buyer, and my investor clients. So let's start off by discussing what we're grateful for. If you're in that kind of mood and you feel like sharing today, because I know you do, put 3 things in the chat that you are grateful for. Today, I said in my gratitude journal that I am grateful for my family. My family has been there for me for many years, and even when there was times when there were challenges, which there wasn't many, but there's always some. I know they were doing the best they can with what they had, and I'm sure that your parents were too. So let's remember that. The second thing I was grateful for this morning is my friends. It's great to have that tribe. It's great to have that cabinet, and it's great to have those friends around you, not just to make you feel good about yourself, but also to be there to just listen when times are down. And most importantly, to call you in when you're playing small. And if you messed up on something, it's good for them to let you know. So I'm always grateful that my friends will do that for me. And lastly, I was just grateful for the opportunity that I have to go out, share my gifts with the world, and fully express myself. And doesn't that feel good when we can be our authentic selves and we don't have to filter what we say or do? And sure, within reason, we're not going to go out and blurb a bunch of things that are going on in our head and get in people's face about it. But at the same time, it feels so good just to be authentic. So if you have three shares, three things that you're grateful for today, throw them in the chat. Now, here's something I was thinking about too was, my dad came up a lot in this last week's conversation. And what he said was, this was a long time ago when he was teaching me sales back in the day. I remember him saying regularly, Dave, if you're always doing the right thing for people, it comes back to you. But we're not doing it for that reason. We're doing it just because. And he said, I always did the right thing for people. I never hurt anybody. And because of that, I sleep well and I don't have to look over my shoulder. And when you think about it, that makes a lot of sense because when you're telling the truth, when you're always telling the truth, you never have to think about what you're going to say. You don't have to think about how that person's going to take it because you're telling the truth. And you don't have to worry about offending somebody. In fact, I get offended a lot of times, most of the time, when people don't tell me the truth and when people don't call me out if I messed up on something, because to me, it shows that they don't care. So instead of worrying about hurting my feelings, I'd rather have you just tell me, hey, Dave, what you talked about on the live stream today, it was pretty good, but why don't you talk about this? Or, hey, Dave, you messed up on this, or whatever it was, whether it's clients, friends, significant others. I always appreciate when they give me the true, honest feedback. But back to doing the right thing for people. Yeah, not ever having to look over your shoulder and sleeping well at night. Like, boy, I sleep well at night. I don't sleep like a baby. I sleep like a dude that doesn't have a baby, right? I go to bed early and I wake up on my own without a alarm, which is super cool. But the point is like sleeping well, just recognizing that when I go to bed, we can look ourselves in the mirror. That's the important part, is looking ourselves in the mirror when we're doing our evening practice before we get to bed. So if you are just joining us right now, thank you. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we are on Instagram, and we are on LinkedIn. And of course, if you're watching the replay, you might be watching it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. John says today that his wife, Julie, his two dogs that he's out with now, getting sunshine and nature. Yeah, John, that's a great drop in. Thank you so much. So, John's grateful for his wife and his two dogs. But think about that. He's taking that walk in nature. We know, especially for you Break the Mold fans that were there on Friday, February 9th at Blue Sky in Rolling Meadows, Illinois. It seems like it was so long ago, but really it was just 2 weeks ago from tomorrow. So thank you all that are watching or listening to this who did come to break the mold. But one thing I talked about in my presentation was getting sunshine and how important it is to have that sunlight hitting your naked eye, and it's gonna raise the levels of dopamine, and it's gonna reset your circadian rhythm so you sleep better, and it's really gonna be a natural high versus having to drink a bunch of sugary drinks, or even waking up right in the morning and drinking coffee. Like, purposely, I do not drink coffee until at least 2, if not 3 hours before I get up. And there's a reason for that, because Mr. Andrew Huberman, the American neuroscience, who loves Andrew Huberman out there? He is awesome, epic, love that guy. So what Andrew says is that we have this sleep chemical that once we wake up is still releasing from our body. And if we put caffeine in our bodies right away, what's going to happen is that sleep chemical is not going to come out anymore. And then it'll start coming out later again during the day, and you'll get kind of sleepy. So wait 90 minutes or 2 hours before you drink that coffee. In fact, I was sharing that with my friend Ron Roberti, and he mentioned that that was a game changer throughout his day. He just implemented that about 2 weeks ago. So it's not just leveling up in real estate, it's leveling up in life. And that's what I love to do. So, okay, today's topic is going to be about language patterns. And this is really, really an important topic that I obsess about. And a lot of my friends obsess about it too. We get obsessed about things, don't we? That's how it is in the personal growth world. So today we're going to talk about language patterns. So as I said, all of us that are watching and listening to this show, we're growth minded, we're self reflective, and we always want to leave the vibe and people better than we found it. So take out some notes, and this is going to be a good one today. So I remember maybe 5 or 6 years ago, there was a time where I was even more obsessed about language patterns than I am right now. And here's the deal with language patterns. Like, I started recognizing different words that people were saying, and words do have meaning, and of course it matters like how you say things, but we're so used to saying things a certain way that it just becomes the default. And of course we're here to live beyond default, right? A life of design versus a life of neglect, the life that we want versus the life that others want us to live. So when it comes with language patterns, there was a time where I started really diving into it and recognizing what I was saying was really affecting me. And so often during during sentences, I would stop myself in the middle of a sentence, even before I was going to say a word that I knew wasn't the best word I could be using. And I'd break that pattern, and I'd start talking again using a different language pattern and making sure I broke that path that I was saying. So there was a time that I was really obsessed with this. So let's start off really, really simple. Think about some of the language patterns you say, and we're going to go over a lot of them here because I still say them too at times. We just want to all get a little bit better, be our best selves, be our future selves now. So let's start with I am going to, or I will. So those two phrases right there are very future, are very, you don't really have to do these things. Um, I am going to, I will. So when you say, I'm going to do this, or I will do this, as we say, actions speak louder than words. My actions are so loud, you can barely hear me speaking. It's a great language pattern right there. My actions are so loud, you could barely hear me speaking. So let's replace I am going to or I will with I am. I embrace. I accept. I assert. Okay? So we're going to replace I am going to or I will with I am, I embrace, I assert, and I accept. And it's funny because it doesn't seem like a big deal. until we start really paying attention to what we say and what others say a lot. So I'm going to challenge anybody that's watching live, or of course the replay, throw it in the chat. If there's a language pattern or there's something that you notice that you or somebody in your family or maybe a boss or a coworker says on a regular basis, that's kind of you feel like it's a little off or low energy or negative, or it's really just not on a growth path, right? Because we can't control what's going on in the world. We all know that. We've discussed it many times. What we can do is control where we focus, and we could choose where we focus. So another one that I've found that was really interesting is, and we all do this, we say, I have to do this. I have to go here. I have to take care of this. And we don't really have to. And the reason why I say that is because when we say I have to, what's happening is it's showing that we don't have a choice. And that's not true. We always have a choice with what we want to do. So instead of saying I have to, we could say something like I choose to, or I get to. That's even a higher language pattern. So let's wipe out the, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I got to do this. Yeah, I choose to do this. I get to do this. I'm excited to do this. Or, hey, I'm doing my best at this, versus I have to, because have to really, it puts the power on whatever that situation is versus empowering ourselves. And we remember, whoever's listening, watching, we're growth minded. We're empowering ourselves. We're taking notes, and we're sharing this with others because we're all growing this personal development community. So let's remember that. Okay. We don't have to do anything. We get to, and we choose to. Here's a language. Oh, Nate, glad to see you on there. Thanks for joining, brother, on LinkedIn. Appreciate you so much. Nate, I know, is obsessed with language patterns too, and that's a good thing. So something I say on a regular basis. So there were some things that we were just talking about that we could replace. Think about this. What are some positive things? And we're going to go back and forth a little bit here and just popcorn. So something that I say regularly to myself is, I am the best uncle I can be and a role model for my niece and nephew. And that's really powerful. I am the best uncle I can be. It's like when you break it down, it really does empower me, and it instills and ingrains and enriches me to be the better uncle and to be the role model for my niece and nephew. I am the best member of the Arlington Heights Housing Commission that I can be. I just became the commission on the commission for the Housing Commission of Arlington Heights, and it's new to me. I'm learning a lot of things. What do I say to myself? I am becoming the best member of the Arlington Heights Housing Commission that I can be. That ingrains it in my head. That opens up to want to receive more and to want to learn more. Here's another one I think is really good. Why does the universe always have my back? I love that one. Why does the universe always have my back? That is a very powerful why question. Asking why questions, I learned that from a couple books, right? I'm regurgitating a lot of just what I learned out there. That came from the 15 Parts of Conscious Leadership, and that's a super cool book. I know a lot of you have read that out there. But why does the universe always have my back? So even when things go bad, or if we want to call them bad, which I don't want to, and I'm not going to, we can still see that there's an opportunity in there, which brings an amazing one right here. So instead Instead of saying that it's bad, we can say that something is a challenge, or we can say that it's an opportunity. Or when somebody says something to us, we go, oh, that's crazy. And we get a little bit angry about it. We all do it. I do it too. Instead, we could say, that's interesting. I wonder why that happened. And I wonder what opportunity this will be to learn and to grow and to stretch beyond my comfort zone. So the next time I'm better and I understand. So there's really a way to reframe all these language patterns that are default, that have been put in our mind by teachers or bosses or family members or commercials, right? We live in a consumer society. So, of course, commercials are making us feel like we lack something. So then we buy something to feel better. We know how that is. We could talk about that for hours, but I'm not going to. So, here's another one that I found interesting is sorry. So many people say the word sorry so often. And I am going to challenge so many people so often. Sorry, that's three S's, alliteration. I'm going to challenge you to be aware of that when you're out and about. Even something as simple as, let's say, somebody at a worker at Target or somebody at a restaurant who's a server will come, oh, sorry for the delay, or sorry to keep you waiting. It's instead of sorry, we can say something like, thank you for your patience. So think about that. Instead of saying, I'm sorry I'm late. Oh, thank you for your patience. I was a little bit behind at my schedule and I'm doing my best to make it up. And I appreciate you waiting for me. Now, maybe the server is not going to get into a big dissertation like that. You understand what I'm saying, though, right? I'm just exemplifying it. So, and what are we really sorry about? I hear so many people say that they're sorry for things. And it's like, really? Like, did you really do something that bad to say that, to have to say that you're sorry? We're always saying sorry. And it you know what? We become sorry when we say sorry. We become sorry people when we're constantly saying that we're sorry. So I challenge you all to really think about before you say sorry the next time. Now, if you have messed up on something, of course you're going to apologize for it. At the same time, there's much better ways than constantly saying you're sorry, you're sorry, you're sorry. So here's another one. Ooh, this is one of my faves, is when you ask people, how are you doing? Well, back in the day, people used to say, oh, I'm great. Oh, I'm doing well. Or, I'm fine. Now, all you hear is busy. How are you doing today? Busy. What does that mean? You know what it means? It means you're not getting productive stuff done. Because I know when I'm busy, the needle's not moving forward in the areas of fitness, finance, and foundation, which are my three pillars for 2024. They're not moving forward. When I say I'm busy, which I, I believe I've eliminated that completely because I was so focused on it. When people say that they're busy, I will always ask, oh, great. Share with me what you did today. I'd love to hear something, and really share with me like what moved you closer to your goals, or what happened today that you're grateful for, or maybe what would you change that happened? Oh, I'm busy. So think of how many times people say the B word when you're out, and I'll ask you to ask another question. Hey, thanks. I understand there's a lot going on right now. Tell me something you did today that moved the needle forward towards your goals. I'm super curious, and then I'll share something with you. It's just a way to talk and bring in conversation. But a lot of times when we're saying we're busy, it's really just an egoic thing. And we tend to be busy with things that really don't move the needle forward. Yeah, you should see how clean my place is and my sock drawer is. It's perfect. You know why it's perfect? And that's another word we're going to talk about. Perfect. You know why it looks the way it does? Because I get busy sometimes, right? Just like Sean Paul says, get busy. Now think about it. Yeah, the P word, perfect. That's another one. There's no such thing as perfection. So when somebody says, oh, that's perfect, or I want to make it, we can never achieve, we will not achieve perfection. It's just not going to happen. So we're just dropping some nugs left and right here. Thank you again for joining us. If you're just picking up on the live stream, or of course you're watching on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I appreciate you being here. Take some notes. We're learning a lot today. So we talked about can't a little bit. I can't do this. I can't do that. Again, it takes the power off of us when we say the word can't, instead of empowering ourselves and say, I won't. Think about that. It's not that you can't do something, you won't. And if you don't know how to do something and you say you can't, well, maybe it's just, I'm learning how to do this. I'm doing the best I can versus I can't. Does that make sense? I like it. But is another one. Let me say, I really like this, but when we say but in the middle of the sentence, we just negated that whole first part of the sentence. That's what we do when we say the word but. We just negated the whole first part of that sentence. Of course, unless you're Sir Mix-a-Lot when he says, I like big butts, but you know what I'm saying. So think about that. I really enjoyed this, but I think we can level that up with maybe an and instead of a but. Hey, I really enjoyed the speakers at Break the Mold. And next time, I'd like to see maybe some guest speakers and some more topics. Instead of throwing the but word in there, throw an and in there, and then share of what you think or what your heart says maybe would be better with it. So that's a big one. Here's another one that's a big one that I found is, let's say you're going out to your car and you start to drive and that you said, I forgot this. What really is happening is you're remembering what you didn't bring or what you didn't do. So actually, you're remembering it. You're not forgetting it. You're remembering it. That's a challenge. And that's a good one with kids too. Because kids with language patterns, oh my, there's a lot going on there. I hear constantly the word be careful, be careful, be careful of this, be careful of that, be careful of this. It's like, ooh, careful. It's like, even that word just doesn't sound good. Like, how do you think that lies well with kids when we're saying that, or adults, whoever we're saying it to? Be careful. Instead, let's level up that language pattern with be aware. There's no more being careful. You don't need to be careful. There's no saber-toothed tiger. There's nothing to be careful about. We're okay. We're not going to walk outside our door and die. All right? Think about that. Be careful. Let's just say be aware. Hey, be aware of the ice. Hey, be aware it's a little bit slippery out there when you're driving. You might want to drive slower. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know that. So it's a lot with the language patterns. I literally obsessed about them for months and months and months and months. What the reason is, though, and there's a reason behind everything. The reason is when we're aware of our language patterns and what we're using, we're aware of what we're reprogramming our minds with. And as we know, what we're programming our minds with is going to come out later. And that's going to eventually end up with our actions and our values and who we are as people and where we're going. So language patterns really play an important part. And it's kind of fun just to have that game throughout the day. And it doesn't mean you go around correcting people, because we all know that everyone's doing the best they can with what they have. And we're not here to correct anybody on this show. These are just opinions. We're sharing opportunities, and we're sharing ways that we will all live beyond default, right? Or we can live by default. Yeah, let's see. What does that mean? Well, living by default means the life that others want us to live versus the life that we want to live. Living by default is the status quo, just kind of coasting along and, yeah, we're doing okay. Not bad, not good. Do we really want to live that? Nah, that's not us. We want to live beyond default. That's our life of design versus life of neglect. It is recognizing to choose that we can live the life we want versus accepting the lives that others want. And most importantly, live beyond default is making 5-year-old you and 95-year-old you proud. And that's what it's all about. So thank you for watching today's episode. A couple more questions. John says, do you include people say, that's a great question? Drives me up the wall. Yeah, well, that's a reflection question, John, and I get what you're saying. So that's we could talk about that and asking questions on another episode. So I think that is a great one. Thank you, Bryn. Thanks for joining me. Yes, you could see I shaved. That's been a big topic recently. Chris, thanks for joining us. Nate, thanks for joining us. I appreciate everybody listening. If you like it, subscribe to my YouTube channel and, of course, to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Share this with your friends and family and coworkers. And until next time, which is 2 weeks from now, make it a great day. Thank you all for watching. Love you. You're the best. And I just so appreciate you all. Talk soon, okay? Let's have a great weekend. Make it a great weekend.